Have you ever finished dinner, washed your plate, sat down on the couch, and 10 minutes later found yourself back in the kitchen, opening the fridge without really knowing why? You weren't hungry, you just ate. But your hand was already inside, looking for something sweet, something crunchy, something to fill a gap you couldn't even name. You probably think this happens because you have little willpower, that it's a matter of discipline, that if you were more decisive, more focused, more determined, you would be able to resist. That's not it. What happens in these moments has nothing to do with weakness. It has to do with four systems inside your body that are operating exactly as they were programmed to operate, only in an environment they were never designed to face. And when you understand how these systems work together, you will stop blaming yourself and you will start to understand what is really happening. I will show you in less than 10 minutes the real reasons behind the endless hunger cycle. If you don't follow this channel yet, this is a good time. Because what comes next changes the way you read your own body. Think with me. Your body has an internal clock. And this clock not only tells time, it triggers alarms. Hormonal alarms that notify the brain when it's time to eat. Ghrelin is one of these alarms. It is produced in the stomach and rises to the brain with a simple message: it's time, eat. And the curious thing is that it doesn't wait for you to feel hungry to trigger, it anticipates. If you have lunch every day at noon, by 11:45 a.m. ghrelin is already rising. The body learns the schedule. It creates a rhythm. And in this rhythm, everything makes sense. The problem starts when the rhythm breaks. When you skip lunch, when you have dinner at the wrong time, when you sleep little and wake up with your stomach already on alert. Ghrelin doesn't distinguish between "I'm really hungry" and "my biological clock is off." It only knows how to trigger. And when it triggers at the wrong time, the brain interprets it as an emergency, not as a gentle reminder, as a low-intensity emergency that needs a solution now. And this is where cortisol comes in. It was already awake even before ghrelin appeared. Cortisol is your body's fire alarm. When it goes off once during a real fire, it saves your life. It mobilizes energy, sharpens the senses, prepares the muscles to act. But when it goes off all day long, whether because of emails, notifications, poor sleep, or anything the brain interprets as a threat, everyone starts to ignore the alarm. But the body does not ignore it. The body keeps responding. And one of the responses to elevated cortisol is to increase appetite, specifically the appetite for energy-dense foods, sweets, fast carbohydrates, fat. The system is asking for emergency fuel because it thinks you are in danger. You are not in any danger. You are just sitting on the couch after dinner with cortisol slightly elevated from a busy day, while the body interprets that as a signal to refuel. And here's a detail that changes the picture. Researchers have identified that people with chronically elevated cortisol levels not only eat more, they eat differently. The preference changes. The system automatically goes toward highly palatable foods, those that deliver quick and intense pleasure. It is not a conscious choice. It is the system operating under the influence of the stress hormone. So we already have two players working together: ghrelin sounding false alarms and cortisol tilting your preferences in the wrong direction. But that is only half the story, because there's a third player in this cycle, and it is the most skilled of all at keeping you trapped. Dopamine is not the pleasure hormone. That is the biggest misconception about it. Dopamine is the anticipation hormone. It does not appear when you eat the chocolate. It appears when you think about eating the chocolate, when you open the cupboard and start looking for something, when you have not yet decided what you are going to take. It is the search process that releases it, not the reward. You know the slot machine in the casino? It doesn't pay out every time. It pays sometimes, randomly. And it is exactly this unpredictability that makes people stay in front of it for hours. Because the next play might be the good one. It might. And that's enough to keep going. Your brain works with the same logic when you are looking for something to eat without knowing exactly what you want. Every time you open the fridge is a play. The next one might be satisfying, it might. So you keep going. But then comes the real problem with dopamine. It adapts. The dopaminergic system is built to respond to novelty and intensity. The more you expose it to very intense stimuli like concentrated sugar, salt, fat, The industrial combination of these three, the more it raises your reference point. What used to be satisfying now seems neutral, and what was neutral starts to seem insufficient. It's not that you became greedier, it's that your internal thermometer has been recalibrated upwards, and now it needs more to feel the same. And this is exactly where leptin comes in. It should solve everything. But in this specific environment, it stops working. Leptin is produced by fat cells and goes up to the brain with a simple message: you already have enough energy. You can stop. The satiety signal. In a well-functioning system, leptin and ghrelin work in balance. Ghrelin rises when you need to eat. Leptin rises when you have eaten enough. One signals that it's time. The other signals that you can stop. The body handles this on its own, without conscious effort. But there is a detail in this logic. When leptin levels remain chronically high, which happens when there's excess adipose tissue in the body, the brain starts to ignore the signal, like someone who lives near a railway. At first, they wake up with every train. Over time, they don't even hear it anymore. The signal is there. The receptors stopped responding. This is called leptin resistance. And what it does is keep the brain in a permanent state of not enough yet, even when the body has plenty of energy, even after dinner, even without real hunger. And then the cycle closes. Ghrelin fires off at the wrong time. Cortisol tilts preferences toward intense foods. Dopamine keeps you in search mode without letting you reach satisfaction. And leptin tries to say that it's enough, but the brain is no longer listening. It's not weakness. It's a system that has gone into a loop. And now that you know the reasons behind the endless hunger cycle, something changes in how you interpret these moments. When you find yourself in front of the fridge at 10 p.m. not knowing why, it's not lack of control. It's ghrelin, cortisol, dopamine, and leptin operating in a self-reinforcing circuit. Understanding this doesn't fix the circuit immediately, but it changes the internal conversation. And the internal conversation is where change begins. When the body receives the right signals, stable sleep rhythm, stress at levels the system can handle, foods that provide satisfaction without needing extreme intensity, it doesn't need you to force anything. The hunger and satiety system does the work on its own. It was built for that. The issue isn't having more discipline. It's understanding what is demanding more than you can give. What you just learned is the foundation, but it can be completely canceled out by one silent mistake that almost nobody catches. To make sure that's not happening to you, I handpicked the video showing up on your screen right now, and also in the card above. In it, I reveal the hidden error that 90% of people make when trying to live a healthier life. Building good habits means nothing if this one specific thing is quietly blocking your results from the inside. Click now to make sure you're not sabotaging your own progress without even knowing it. I'll see you there in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. If this content was valuable to you and helped you in any way, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tips and information. And don't keep this to yourself. Share it with those you care about so that this chain of well-being grows even more. A big hug, and I wish you infinite health.